Nissa Vastwood Seer versus Atraxa Praetors Voice. Well, we've got nothing going on there. I think we might have to take Maze of Ith out of this deck because it shows up a little bit too early for my liking. Let's mulligan this. Okay, Blighted Woodland, and yeah, Gaia's Cradle is another one that we can make use of, but we don't necessarily need it. We'll put Regal Force on the bottom, and we'll get on with the game. Play out a forest and hope for more lands here. Our commander will get us into another land, but we need to get up to 3 mana before we can get into her. Yeah, so just hoping for another land off the top now, because Gaia's Cradle will not tap for mana until a creature is in play. Alright, there's a Wasteland, that is good. Our opponent might have counter magic held up, but I'm not too worried about Nissa getting countered. Nope, that is really good. We managed to get her down, so that means that our Gaia's Cradle is going to be switched on. We can go for our Solemn next turn. Yeah, that could potentially have messed us up if our opponent had countered there, because we couldn't have gotten into the Yavimaya Elder for lack of green mana. Nice spoils of victory, so our opponent will no doubt be able to get into their Atraxa next turn, but luckily we've got Song of the Dryads in hand, so we're not too worried about that. Let's play a forest and going for Solemn Simulacrum. Solemn should arguably be in every commander deck. Just swing in with Nissa, and we'll see if we can spot on Atraxa next turn. A live Temple of the False God from our opponent. They need 5 or more lands in order to switch that on, and manage to get into Elspeth, Sun's Champion. We draw back into the Regal Force. Tricky situation here. We might actually have to enchant the Elspeth, because we can enchant a permanent with this. We'll play the Gaia's Cradle and see how much mana we've got this turn. That is 2, 4, 6 and 7. Yeah, I think we just have to go for... We'll go for the Yavimaya Elder. And then we'll go for Song of the Dryads onto the Elspeth. Or do we just want to swing in at Elspeth? Yeah, I think we can just swing in at Elspeth here. Although, now that I think about it, they can still plus her up. The problem is with Elspeth, Sun's Champion, this is one of my favourite Planeswalkers. And that plus ability is really, really good, unless you have Trample. Our opponent is just going to chump here. Yeah, I think we do, unfortunately, have to go for Song of the Dryads onto that Elspeth. We got rid of some soldiers, at least. And then, how about a Wasteland onto something as well? That messes up our opponent. They could go white, black, green, and then they'd be stuck on blue. Let's just get rid of their blue mana. We might not see an Atraxa if we manage to get rid of that land. And with that, we will pass the turn over to our opponent. Oh, but of course, they've got a fetch land, so they can get straight back into whatever colours they need. So that was a risky play, getting rid of the Wasteland. Luckily for our opponent, they had a fetch. And then a Cyclonic Rift onto Song of the Dryads. You don't often see a tapped Planeswalker, do you? They tapped that for mana before they bounced the Song of the Dryads. And then playing a Deep Glow Skate, that doubles the number of counters on your permanents. So they've now got the emblem off of Elspeth, Sun's Champion. Creatures you control have +2/+2 and flying. Alright, we're in a precarious position here. We can swing in at Elspeth and knock her down to 0 though, and I think that might be the best thing to do. So we'll hold off on playing a land because we may lose Nissa. Let's swing in with everything. And our opponent does block the Nissa. We at least get rid of Elspeth, so that's good. Now let's play the land. We've got 2 mana. I think we have to go for the Mana Reflection here and just try and get some crazy stuff going. We've got 2 mana held up to get rid of Yavimaya Elder if we want to. So let's just go over to Atraxa's turn and see what she can do here. Karn's Bastion has come down, that's 4 tap and proliferate, so that pretty much guarantees that this is a Planeswalker Super Friend deck, although our opponent, going for a Deep Glow Skate, kind of cemented the idea that this is Super Friends. Atraxa does come down, luckily it doesn't have any counters on it, but we are taking a big hit here because all of our opponent's creatures are evasive now. Going to crack the Avamaya Elder for a couple of lands and a draw. Scavenging Ooze, don't really care about Scavenging Ooze here. Yeah, and then even more ramp in Kodama's Reach. Let's get our Nissa into play. And we'll get a land and then we will flip her around so that we can draw a card. We get into Emerald Medallion. Yeah, we're just getting into our ramp, unfortunately. Don't necessarily care about Emerald Medallion. We'll get it down, though, because we've got a lot of green spells in hand. We will play the Garruk's Pack Leader, and then maybe go for Regal Force next turn. Might as well get down the Scavenging Ooze with the floating mana. And then, yeah, that taps for 6 mana, so we can go Kodama's Reach and Song of the Dryads. Song of the Dryads going on to Atraxa. And then we've got 2 floating mana, so we might as well get rid of some of our opponent's stuff. We'll get rid of Elspeth and the Cyclonic Rift. Our opponent might have a means of fishing cards out of the library. Yeah, no point in holding back a Solemn because our opponent's creatures have flying, so we can't chump block with Solemn anymore. Might as well hit our opponent for 2. Out comes Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. And she will throw out a plant token. That comes down as a 2/3 thanks to the emblem, which is not bad for a plus on a 3 mana Planeswalker. Both of these coming in at us, so our opponent deciding to leave Nissa in play. And of course we just draw into a land, so we're just getting into mana this game. Woodland Bellower. Does that help us at all? Well, it gets another creature into play at least, which makes the Regal Force better. Also draws us a card off of the Garruk's Pack Leader. So we'll draw the card off the Pack Leader first. Karn Liberated is very nice as well. Then I say we go for Fierce Empath here, and maybe we can look at going for the Artifact Dragon that I forget the name of. Not Duplicant, what is it called? Steel Hellkite, I think is the name of that card. And we could go for Woodland Bellower, couldn't we? And then there's Avenger of Zendikar as well. Yeah, Avenger of Zendikar and then a Regal Force actually sounds quite good. So let's play the Avenger of Zendikar, and we still have a land drop to make. Unless they've got counter magic. Yep, they've got a mana drain. That's a pretty good one to go for. They're going to get a lot of mana next turn. Luckily for us, we have Karn Liberated in hand. We can play this land now. At least we got the mana drain out of our opponent's hand. So let's jump in with a Regal Force here. Our opponent might have another counter spell. We draw off the Garruk's Pack Leader, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 off the Regal Force. Duplicant is not the worst thing to draw into either. Might as well go for a 3 visits because it is free. In fact, we'll actually gain mana off of that because we get double mana from our forest and it only costs 1 to play. Then how much mana do we have here? We've got 10 mana, so maybe it's Prowling Serpapard and Karn. Well, we'll go for Karn first of all anyway. Then we'll play Prowling Serpapard as well. And then with the floating mana, we will get rid of that mana drain. Don't want to see a Snapcaster Mage from our opponent. Then we will swing in at Nissa before it makes any more evasive plant tokens. They can get rid of our Scavenging Ooze here if they want to. But I don't know how much use we're getting out of that, really. We get rid of Nissa. And now, I think... how much is coming through next turn? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, they might just go straight in at us. So let's minus down and get rid of the Deep Glow Skate. Then it's only 5 damage coming across at us. Yeah, just pass it over like that, I think. We'll get down the Reliquary Tower next turn so that we don't have a maximum hand size. 3 cards in our opponent's hand, and they've got 7 floating mana to play around with. And our opponent scoops. Clearly they don't like what they've drawn into. Yeah, I think I would have given that another turn or two. Don't know why our opponent decided to quit there. Yeah, I would think they would swing in and hit Karn to get rid of that, and then maybe leave a plant token back. We have a lot of mana, especially next turn if we get into Nissa Who Shakes the World. And then it's even more card draw with Rishkar's expertise, so we might have been able to pull out a victory there. Let's see if we can see what cards we were going to draw into. No, doesn't appear as though Magic Online is going to show us that. But we were going to draw into a lot of cards off of Rishkar's expertise there. And yeah, I think we could have clawed back a victory there, but our opponent should have given it another turn or two, because in Super Friends I imagine they have a lot of board wipes, and we would have to rebuild from scratch if our opponent did manage to get off a board wipe, but they decided to scoop it up, so that's a victory for us. That was Nissa Vastwood Seer and tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.